Hello everyone, it's Mary. Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to jump into this as quickly as possible, but I do need to give a few points and disclaimers before we start this review. The first one is out of my own curiosity, because it seems like a lot of Tonic was releasing a lot of paper trimmers all at once. It seemed like I was curious what the difference was, and then also, I love to see if there's something comparable and something cheaper. So out of my own curiosity, I decided to do this video. I am not doing this video as a paid sponsorship or for Tonic at all. And so you're going to see a very honest look at all of these different trimmers. Now, they are mostly Tonic that go up against a quote-unquote non-crafty brand. When I say non-crafty brand, I mean that in our sort of card-making world, it's not one of those brands, okay? I also, throughout the video, keep saying machine to reference these. They're not machines. I know they're not machines. So just please give grace. And then I also say lip instead of ledge or edge for when you're paper cutting. So again, I'll take grace today. Thanks. The next thing I want to mention is that my reviews are an open door for everyone to share their thoughts and opinions. So in the comment section, I want to hear your testimonies about your favorite paper trimmers, why you love them, and all that good stuff. So please feel free to share amongst your crafty friends because we all are learning from one another. And again, I'm only showing a very limited amount. The reason I chose the particular brands that aren't Tonic is based on the positive reviews and price. I went for both of those because there's lots of them that have a much higher price point on Amazon, but the reviews weren't as good. And so I kept it with high reviews and low price. I also don't want you to start this video without knowing that there are timestamps. I go through a very thorough look at each of these paper trimmers. So if you do not want to see that, you just want to see the overview brief, I will put the briefs in the description box below and on the screen. So you can just jump right to where I go over the overview of everything. And lastly, with all my reviews, it's never a perfect science. I try my very best to keep things comparable to one another as I go throughout the process. So just keep that in mind. And if there's something that I maybe missed out, but you have a question about, please put it in the comments and let me know. All right, let's jump into the first review, which is looking at Guillotine trimmers. Okay, here are my Guillotine trimmers. So yes, of course, I have a lot. But for video purposes here, and then also I think I was on the hunt to just try to find the right one for me. So let me just start off by showing you what I have. Then I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of each and then go from there. So this one is the mini trimmer. So this is very small. I thought I would use it a whole lot more, but I haven't. It is a really nice trimmer to have off to the side if you're doing quick cuts for like A2 sizes or even your slim lines, but you do have a limit here. This goes up to 3.5, and then you have this plastic bit here, a place to put paper clips apparently. We'll get to how it works in a second, but this is the mini trimmer, and that one's from Tonic. All right, also from Tonic Studios is the 8.5 trimmer. And I have to say, out of all of my trimmers, I use this one the most, I think. So as I said in the beginning, I, as a paper crafter, recommend having a guillotine to do bulk cutting. I feel like that's going to give you longevity. You're not going to have to replace blades as much. But this one is right off to the side of my work surface, and I pull it out all the time. It's just easier to use than this one. If I had a paper trimmer, a sliding paper trimmer that fit, I'd probably pull that one out too, but this is just what I have. Okay, difference between already the one and this one. This one has a lip down here, so that's really convenient so that you can cut it from this side or this side easily without it moving. So I do like that feature as well. The next one by Tonic is this large one right here. And so what's great about this is it extends because you have an arm back here that you can place right in there, and now you have an extension up to 12 inches. All right, so this is a great one. I've had this for a couple years now. Obviously, they come in black now, not the orange. So I've had it for a while. I have zero complaints about it. I think it's a wonderful cutting tool. Again, it's a guillotine that I do recommend as a paper crafter if you're going to be cutting up a lot of card stock. I think it's really great to have that. This part right here, this handle comes off. I've never really stored it off, but you can in the back right there. I just usually keep it on, but there is that feature as well. And then if you want to just stow this away, you can. And then I would say one of the things we'll talk about, the do not touch. If you do have kids or someone in your house that you're concerned about, this is, you know, the more dangerous of the cutting type of machines. So as far as cutting goes, it works beautiful. We'll see that in a second. There is a lip right here, a pretty thick lip right here. And that's nice because you can cut multiple pieces at the same time, depending on how thick the cardstock is. But there's no lip down here, so just keeping that in mind. All three of these come in, nope, just these two come in the inches and the metric system. So the inches right here are on the bottom, and down here they're on the bottom again. So you have your metric right up here, your metric system is here at the top, and then the inches is here closer to the lip. So okay, so that's those two. And the guillotine that's not craft branded necessarily of the popular brands that a lot of us shop with is this one right here by Swingline. All right, this is already the surface of 12 inches. So that's how big it is, which is great. And then you have this middle line here, which is going to give you your inches and your metric system as well. So right in the center there. It doesn't have it both up here though. I thought at first when I started to use it, this was a little bit difficult to read. Because there's only lines, there's not numbers. So if I wanted to do increments, but I'm just going to decide because I like this one, but I'm going to decide where I want to make my marks. And so this will be like 4 1/4, and then of course 5 1/2. So I'll make that mark probably with like a white marker pen, just so that I know. All right, so that is that. And then you're going to have, it does take up a little bit of real estate because it does not compact like the Tonic, because it's a 12-inch surface. But you do have over here, you have this handle sticking out as well. One feature I love about this though is that it locks. So right here on the side, you can just clip that up, okay? The safety feature of this one though is beautiful. This one I'm not concerned about, it stays in my drawer, so I don't really worry about that one, but I do still sometimes worry about the one that sits on top of my desk without a lock. If we look over here at the Tonic one, there is no lock that I am aware of on here. And so that always does make me nervous. So just something to consider. If that's a non-issue for you, then no big deal. Okay, so I have a couple A2 size cardstock here. This is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, a watercolor piece, and 2 of the 100-pound from the Accent Opaque brand. Of course, I have to use small ones because this is the mini trimmer, so I'm not going to go any bigger than this. But, you know, if you keep this off to your side, how does it perform? It has like this catch lip right here, which I find interesting. I'm not really sure if anyone else finds that very useful. I don't really pay attention to it. I just kind of, if anything, I have to like dip my paper off or grab it and remember to get it. So if I put my cardstock in here, these plastic bits right here, whenever you're cutting with a guillotine, you have to put a lot of pressure on here when it comes to these ones with the plastic. Okay, so I'm going to cut this piece of cardstock so you can hear that, and it cuts really well. All right, so the quality of the cut is very good. Now I'm going to try to cut 2 pieces at the same time. Again, this is the 100-pound. So let's just say I had a couple that I wanted to cut down in here. Cuts really well. All right, so if I'm cutting 2, it's a really good little trimmer. It's cute, it's mini. Okay, this is watercolor cardstock. This is a thicker, probably about the 2 sheets of the other stuff I just showed you. Cuts beautifully. No issues whatsoever. So performance-wise, does a great job. Again, all of this is personal preference, but as far as quality goes, it is good. One small correction is I don't feel like you need a ton of pressure to hold down those plastic things, but you absolutely have to hold your hand there, and I'll show you in a minute why. Next up, I'm going to show you the machine that I use the most in my card making, only because of convenience. I think, well, a couple reasons. I like the 2 lips, and it's convenient, but it does have this plastic bit right here, and you need to make sure that you are, again, putting a lot of pressure on that so that it doesn't shift your cardstock. So let me actually use an A2 size. I'm going to show you what I mean by that so that there's a visual. So if I were to put this cardstock in here and not hold it down with the plastic, see how that shifts the cardstock right there? And it just kind of shifts it around, right? Let's do it again so you can see. I put it in the corner and it moves the paper. So we're getting an uneven cut. All right, so what you have to do when you're doing that, you have to hold it in the corner and press this down. This pressure right here will make sure it does not shift at all. So that's what I'm talking about when I say you got to hold that down, and why, because you definitely do. All right, as far as the quality goes of this one, I love it. It's well loved, if you could see that on the camera. But it is, there's no lock on here, so that's, you know, one of the things to consider. And then if you need to clean this, you can take this all the way off, actually, and you can clean it. I had to the other day. So that is something to keep in mind. You can do that. Fits right back in, and that's the trimmer. Again, I told you it had both inches and metric. So I think it's a good paper crafter's trimmer. Again, I use it all the time. Next, let's have a look at the large Tonic trimmer, and this one I use for my bulk cutting. So I'll just put on a good movie and sit there and just do a bunch of cutting for my cardstock. I don't often have to pull out this arm, if I'm honest. I find that the majority of my cutting can be done on this surface because I do a lot of A2 and slimline size cards. If you are cutting down large pieces into, let's say, a 6x6, you still have the 6 mark here, so you're good. And then larger pieces, sometimes I have those really big watercolor cardstock pieces that I have to cut down into an 8.5 by 11. That's when I'm going to pull out my back right here, or my sidearm. Okay, but generally speaking, I would say 90% of the time, probably 95, I am not pulling out that arm, which means the footprint is nice for this. So keep that in mind. Okay, so this side, I'm going to show you one piece of cardstock, again, the 100 pound. And I am cutting at the 4 1/4. I've made my little marks with a black pen or black marker so that I can see, because they are not the easiest to see. I would need something to draw my attention really quickly, and that's why I do that for myself. Okay, so I'm going to slice this. Now again, I'm going to show you what happens if you don't hold that down. Okay, see? Shifting. All right, there's definite shifting. So we cannot do that. We cannot afford that. So I'm going to cut this down now at 4 inches. I'm going to hold it, right? And I didn't even, that piece is ruined. It didn't work out. So you must hold that down, all right? And I find that you have to hold it down with a pretty decent amount of pressure, or else you're going to run into an issue. So let me cut this again at 4. I mean, it's not like I'm leaning on it or anything, but you have to make sure that you're holding it. Okay, point made. Now, let's talk quality about this. I love this trimmer. I think it's great. I can cut about 3, let's try 3 pieces of the 100 pound. And the 100 pound, I believe, is 216 GSMs, I want to say. But it's linked below if you want to take a look at it so you know what thickness I'm talking about. It might even be more than that. So let's cut at 4 1/4. I love a top folding card. I'm going to hold down my piece. And with a little bit of pressure, it cuts through 3 very nicely. And so when I look at that, they're even, okay? So quality is very good on this trimmer. All right. Let's move into our swing line trimmer right here. The reason I picked this up was the reviews and the price was pretty affordable. I also wanted another guillotine that wasn't like the popular brands that a lot of us know in the craft industry, to try them out. So I'm going to do a single piece first, and again, there's a lock, so I have to undo the lock to use it. All right, which is great. And I love the caution sticker there. That's really good too. So I did mention it comes in the metric and the inches system in the center here. And so this on top is inches. Okay. So let's put this, one thing I do really like about it that I didn't mention is, this is minor, but I notice it. I have to like make sure this is like pulled up a lot to make sure my paper is not in the way, or the blade's not in the way of me getting a clean, crisp line across here. So I've noticed that I have to yank it up a little bit more. It doesn't go up to the natural position really well, or easily, I guess. Again, very minor, but that's what we do here for these reviews. We look at everything, and I noticed this one just kind of goes up to its position very nicely and easily. Okay, so that's a pro. So I'm going to go to the 4 1/4 right here, and there's no plastic piece to hold. So I was very concerned about that because I thought, well, how is this going to not shift? But let's see what happens when I don't touch it at all. Okay, we still get a lot of shifting, right? So the fact is you're going to have to hold your cardstocks. But let's do this again, and I'm going to go to 4 inches now. Okay, and I'm just going to put light pressure on it. I have to say, I feel like it's a lot lighter pressure when I'm holding it as opposed to the other machines where I'm pressing it. I don't know. I don't know why. This is just maybe a Maryism and nothing to do with this review, but just thought I would mention it. So let's try 3 pieces again of the 100 cardstock, and I'll be able to tell you which one I think is better. I would say equal. This one might actually be a little bit better. Might actually cut through a little bit better. But, I mean, like minor. Really minor. Very, very comparable to one another. So, yeah. So, there you have it with the Swingline brand. All right. Let's get into some of these details here. So, overall reviews. First of all quality paper trimmers. I would recommend them all based on quality. Tonic paper trimmer for the mini is the cost as of recording is $24.99. There is an edge only on the top. The no safety feature, and it only has inches, which are actually hard to read. Best for small cuts. Next up is the Tonic 8.5 inch trimmer. Cost is $29.99. There is a lip or an edge on both the top and the bottom. Inches and metrics, no safety feature, and not good for cardstock bigger than 8.5 inches. Then we have the Tonic 12 inch trimmer. The cost is $79.99. The edge is only on the top. Inches and metric, it has a middle ruler. It does extend up to 12 inches, so it's a smaller footprint, but there is no safety feature for this tool. And then lastly, the Swingline 12 inch trimmer. Cost is $35.49. The edge is on the top. The inches and the metric, there is a middle ruler. It stays at 12 inches, so it's a larger footprint for your craft surface if that's where you keep it. But there is a safety lock feature to keep in mind for that machine. So overall, I do get asked, well, which one would you pick? Almost an impossible answer for you, but for me, because I don't know your needs, but for me, I would say if I was starting over again, I would want a Guillotine to cut in bulk, and it would be the Swingline. That would be my choice if I was to start over and not have any of these machines. Okay, let's move on to paper trimmers with the sliding blade. Next, I want to talk about sliding paper trimmers. So I'm a huge fan of keeping a sliding trimmer in your stash, because there's techniques that you can do with this that you couldn't do with a Guillotine. If you want to cut out the center of a piece of cardstock, just maybe make your own, maybe you don't have dies to do that, you can actually do that with a sliding trimmer. So I find that to be useful. Also, cutting foil is nice, almost really difficult, I won't say impossible, really hard to cut foil on a Guillotine. But on a paper sliding trimmer, I think it's much easier. So I find there's a use for them in the craft space. I don't think you need to spend a lot of money on it though, if that's not your main paper cutting source for like bulk, okay? If it's your only paper cutting source, then this is what we're here to do. We're kind of here to test them out. I actually forgot about one. I had this one too. This one is from We Are Makers. So I have 4. I have 4 to try out. Now this one I did a whole video on because it's multiple tools in one. So if you want to check out my review of this tool, I'll link that below, or you can just search on my YouTube channel. Highly recommend this tool for brand new crafters. I think it's like a great mostly in one. It's not an all-in-one. We have yet to have an all-in-one, but I think it's great. So yeah, so anyway, we'll actually put that aside for now. So why did I choose these 3? Well, the first reason is these 2 I chose because of the price. Originally, I had picked this one up. The reviews were plentiful. There were so many reviews, and the reviews were really good on the Work Lion. So I got it, but I do not recommend this for crafters. I did not find it user-friendly. I mean, it's about the same price as this one, and I'll talk about why I think this one's better. The one thing I did really like about it, and this one has it as well, is the spring action on here. I think that's really great. I didn't like how it opened from this side. I found that to be cumbersome for me, and maybe it's just because I'm used to the other open way. And there was no way to like stretch out to get larger cardstock. So if you're just using something for cutting, like just trimming off the edges of paper, okay, that's fine. I still would not recommend for me. I didn't like this one. This one though, is comparable in all ways, and it has more. It has the spring kind of loaded type of cutter here. It also has an arm that comes out, which is great, and that'll extend you up to 13.5 inches. So I think that's awesome. It has a lip down here at the bottom, which is great, like we've already talked about. And it also has metric and inches at the top and the bottom, okay? You also get a ruler that you can read. On this one, you can't hardly read that, like, not good. This one is against a white background, so you can read it well. I think that's great. And then this one opens from this side, where you can also use this centerpiece for scoring as well. So I found like that was really good. This is a really good paper trimmer as far as that goes. All right, so we're going to test out the function of it in just a second. The other paper trimmer that I wanted to introduce or talk about is the back to Tonic, the Tim Holtz Tonic Studios paper trimmer. So funny enough, this one opens this way, like the way I didn't like. However, I feel like there's a lot more space to work with. This is happening, but it's not with the blade. It's actually with the arm itself. You have your two lips, top and bottom. You have the centerpiece here, which is great for crafters. So you have the inches and the metric system there. So that's awesome. You also have, which I thought was really cool, and I didn't realize that I actually loved this function, what is the score included. So if you want to just score your cardstock, you can do the light gray. If you want to cut it, you can do the black. That's a really great feature. So this is the only one of the 4 that has the score option, but I really did love that feature. Okay, so this is the We Are Makers machine. Again, I have an entire video going over this machine. It's really cool. I highly recommend you check it out if you're a new crafter before you spend money on a bunch of tools. I'll link that, like I said. So one thing that I have never really been able to do with sliding trimmers is to cut more than one piece of cardstock at a time. So if you're getting this as your sole source of cutting down and you like to pre-prep your cardstock like I do, then keep that in mind. You're going to be going one sheet at a time if this is your only machine. So I'm going to cut this at 5.5 here, and I actually have 2 pieces in there. I'm going to try. No, it's not going to work. So that one is a no-go for 2 sheets. And it's not like I expected it to, but just, you know. Great thing about sliding trimmers is you don't really have to put a lot of pressure. Just keep your hand there, because this lip, if you're going in the direction of the lip, like the lip's up there and you're going in that direction, it's going to push the cardstock against it even more, but you still have to have a guiding hand. Okay, so that's the cut there. All right, it cuts well, does well. Sliding trimmers, you got to remember you have to replace blades. This one comes with an extra blade, which is great, but sliding trimmers, you do have to replace those more often. All right, let's cut on this one right here. We're going to do, I'm just going to, just because, try the 2 pieces again. Maybe one of them will surprise me. I don't know. So I'm going to, now this, I'm going to have to pull my arm out because I want them to go at 5.5. So there we go. Again, little pressure. Oh, I can at least try. Nope, I don't want to force it. So let's see. No, it started to, but it was too much. Too much pressure. You might be able to get away with that with a thinner cardstock, but we can't try out every combination of everything today. All right, the slider on this one felt exactly like the We Are Memory Keepers. So, of note, they felt very, very similar. Then we're moving on to the Tim Holtz, and it's only fair for me to try to cut 2 pieces at once. I am using this cut piece, but I'm going to use the other side. This one does not extend past, oh wait, as I was. Yes, it does. This does extend. Look at that. I forgot to tell you that feature. So now we can have it even larger. So that's a great feature. So I'm going to, it is still kind of weird to load my paper from that side, but we're just going to go with it because it's a Mary-ism and not a machine-ism. All right, so let's try. Okay, well, that was good. It cut through both, but it didn't cut very close. It went through pretty easily. I will give it that. I will give you your credit, Tonic. Let's try this again. I'm going to try it again. What did I do? Yeah, it cuts through 2 pieces. Good job. It does. Now let's do one because I want to see and get the feel of that one piece. All right. Okay, much faster, much smoother than the other 2 so far. Or that's really the only 3 I'm going to try because those are, of the 3, I recommend them for different reasons. So yeah, it cuts through 2 pieces, 100 pound, fairly easily, and it also cuts smoother and faster than the other. This is all, just so everybody knows, this is like my first time comparing them. I've cut with all of them, but not in this kind of comparison mode. So I'm just as surprised as you. So now I want to look at the score feature here because I think that's a great feature. Like I said, it's of the 2. So if I'm going to score and I don't feel like pulling this in and out, I'm just going to leave that one up there and I'm going to just shift up and score from the bottom. So if I'm scoring from the bottom and I'm going to score at 4 1/4, no, I'm going to score at 5 1/2 for a top folding card. Because remember I said to minimize shifting even more, you want to go towards the lip of the machine with your score or cutter. So I'm going to pull it down in this direction. So I have my cardstock lined up and I'm just going to roll it down, all right? And then that's going to score my cardstock, okay? So I'm just going to go like that and we have a score. So I love that. I think it's great. Again, really nice to have that already there and I don't have to use my bone folder. Not that you can't, but I have to say, if you're scoring hundreds of card bases, my hand, I don't know about yours, gets really sore. So I found that this was just a lot easier on my hand. Okay. All right. So that's the sliding paper trimmers. All right. Let's discuss our overview. So first of all, I hope you saw my corrections on screen. This is the Sizzix tool-in-one on the right. I was calling it completely the wrong company. So I think I just got confused by the color theme. It is actually made from Sizzix. So not to confuse you, I'm so sorry. But I'm going to leave that one out of this discussion. You can pause it and take a look at what all it offers or watch the video that I did on it, but it's not a fair comparison to the other 2, okay, because it does have so much more. So we're going to put that to the side. Let's just compare the one I got from Amazon, which is on the right, and the middle one, which is from Tonic. So starting with the Amazon version here. So we have the lip or the edge on the top and bottom. Good quality cut, but I can only do 1 sheet, which I think is pretty standard for a sliding trimmer. It came in inches and metric. The extender goes up to 13 inches. And the right side ruler, which is not something I talked about, it goes up to 1.25 inches. So that's on the right side of the trimmer. So if you want to measure stuff off of the edge, you can up to 1 1/4 inches. It costs $16.99 at the time of recording this, and so that's the Amazon. The middle version, the Tonic slider trimmer, it retails for $34.99. We do have the edge on the top and bottom. Great quality cut. I think the cut was better. Cuts 2 sheets. Not that I would totally recommend that, but it does. The inches and the metric, it has the middle ruler as well. The extenders on both top and bottom. A score attachment, and the right side ruler goes up to 2 inches. So between these 2, depending on your needs, if you're going to use a sliding trimmer and you like the score feature, I think that this is actually the better of the 2. Again, if you have a paper cutter that you love and you're just looking for a slider trimmer for certain techniques, the one on the left from Amazon is probably the better deal. You'll save some money if you're not going to use those extra features. So that will conclude the overview of these sliding trimmers. Let's move into our last comparison, which are the rotary blade trimmers. All right, next up I have two different rotary trimmers. Okay, so what's the difference between a sliding and a rotary trimmer? So the sliding is a standard, standalone rather, it doesn't shift, doesn't move blade. Of the paper trimmers I just showed you, this one is a roller, so it's on a roller cutting through the cardstock, okay? So that's the difference there. Now, I was excited to try both of these because I'd never had a rotary trimmer before. So if you have and you swear by it, comment below, tell us about it, because I would love to know long-term what your thoughts are with the rotary. So there are replacement blades for this rotary on the Tim Holtz Tonic. So I'll verify for the Carl as well, but that's something to keep in mind. If there's replacement blades, then you have to replace the blade. So, you know, again, maintenance, things like that. All right, so I have two brands here. I have the Carl and I have the Tim Holtz from Tonic. And I do have to say, I'm going to go over all the features, but the price difference is vast. This one, as of recording, is $49. This one is $99. So that is a huge, huge difference when it comes to the two of these machines. So let's dive in a little bit more and get to know each of them and see how they fare. But looking at these two, we're going to get into cutting in just a second. There's some obvious differences I do see between the two of them. For one, I do really like this handle. I think that's cool. So I think that's a good feature there. This one, I would be tempted to pick it up by this, which I'm not sure that that's probably the appropriate way to do it. So there's that feature. One thing I noticed is the ability to get a larger surface is here for the Tim Holtz, because it does open up on both the top and the bottom. So you do have that. I do love the fact that you have your rulers here in the middle and at the bottom. They both have two lips, so that's good. As far as our edges, I keep saying lips, but you know what I mean. So that's good. And I like that on the Tim Holtz, there's extra measurement on the other side, so you can measure your cardstock on this side as well. So let's say you want a 1 inch, a 1/2 inch type of cut. That would be really great because you can see that. We'll get into that in a second. Over here on this side, it doesn't really have that. It has the measurement up and down on the ruler. I will be 100% honest with you. I did a lot of researching for videos to help me understand this, why this is all listed here. And I know somebody watching this knows why all of these are listed, but I can't figure out how that's useful to me at this moment. I tried, but I couldn't find anybody to tell me what that was. So on that note, one thing I did notice as well, the difference between the two is I'm kind of disappointed that the measurements aren't above where I can see them. In fact, they're right here, so my paper's kind of covering it. Now, you know, I can find it, like this is 5.5 right here. I can find it, no issue, and I can even put a dot there so I can know, but it was just maybe me getting used to something different. So the measurements are actually on the platform itself, both inches and metric, and inches and metric in both over here. Okay, so those are the major differences that I see between the two, aside from storage compartment down here if you want to store extra blades. And yeah, so that's kind of the only, those are the differences between the two. Okay, so let's see how they function. Now I did 3 sheets for my Guillotine trimmer, 3 sheets of the 100 pounds, so I'm just going to do the same to see if we can get a good cut on this one as well. So let's cut this at 5.5. We'll find that there. So that's 5.5 here. And there is a plastic piece to hold on to, so I will be holding on to that. And I'm just going to slide it down. Now I'm cutting 3 pieces of heavy cardstock, and it cut easily the first one. Right? Okay, the second one. Am I not supposed to get them all at the same time? Okay, it cut all 3, but not at the same time. And it cuts beautifully. And there's really no pressure. It's not very loud. Voiceover Mary, pausing for a second. After looking at the Amazon link, it does look like you're supposed to go up and down to get through all of the sheets at once. Not at the same time, but like keeping them in there at the same time and then going up and down, up and down. So I just wanted to make sure I added that. So if you go up and down, you can cut them fast. And they cut very, very straight, and it cuts very clean cut. Let's move on to the Tim Holtz and see what we got there. Again, love the arms that can extend. I'm gonna cut these 3 pieces. I'm gonna try to cut them at 4 1/4, and I'm gonna do it up here. All right, again, I really like that I can see that up there. Okay, it cut all 3 at the same time. Yeah, it cut them all really good. I cut it at the wrong angle, or at the wrong size, but let's try again. What do we got here? Yeah, I cut it at the wrong size. All right, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna cut this now. If you see how it doesn't lift up, so I think the other one had the same issue, so I have to move this down first, then put my paper in. All right, it cut nice. Now that's 3 pieces, and that cuts really well. So very good, very impressed. Now I'm gonna just do 1 piece, and I'm gonna move it down here. And I'm gonna show you, honestly, with ease, it cuts very, very simple. All right, cuts up. I can go up away, and I feel confident. I can hold that down, come down, and I feel confident. So I like it as far as that goes. I think it cuts beautifully. Impressive there. I want to go back to this one and do a single cut, because now I'm curious about like the feel of it for a comparison. Wait, let's see if that one was. So this actually can slide over your paper like that, see? Because there's like a spring action right here. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to go up and come down. See the finesse thing? Okay, it's much quieter of a cut. Listen. Much quieter. All right, let's look at the final numbers here. I think this, in full disclosure, is probably the one I feel least confident about, because I don't have any long-term idea about rotary trimmers. So I'd love to hear in the comment section what you think about yours if you have one. And also, I'm only comparing these 2. There are probably so many more on the market. I just went for high reviews on Amazon to pick one that a lot of people seem to like. So let's talk about the Karl rotary trimmer first. It's retailing right now $48.84. There is a carrying handle for it. It makes a clean cut, and it's a lower price. There's also a storage compartment, and you do get inches and metric. However, it only goes to 8.5 inches. There's no right side ruler if you want to measure off of the right side. It doesn't cut through all at the same time, although that might not be an issue. It does speed cut, so that's good. And the replacement blades are $9.99 for each. Moving over to the Tonic rotary trimmer, this is $99.99 right now. It does make great clean cuts. It measures in inches and metric. You get a middle ruler, which is great. You also have rulers on the top and bottom where you can see them more clearly, as opposed to the Karl, which was on the actual platform. It extends up to 12 inches. The right side ruler is up to 1 1/4 inches, which is great. Cut through all 3 of those 100-pound cardstocks at once. The replacement blade is $15.99. And really the only con in comparison besides the price to the Karl is a little louder. And that wouldn't have, deterred me any, but I just wanted to make sure I added it. So if you're asking my opinion about just rotary blade trimmers for my needs in my craft room, I would go with the Tonic. All right, I hope that was helpful. I have a lot of paper trimmers in my house now. I'll be donating some of them to the local school, but I also am going to be giving away a few of them during my next live class. As you know, we do over $300 in giveaway prizes. We have a great time doing some crafty education. So if you want to join me there, all that information will be below. We're going to be playing with embossing folders next time. So if you want to join there and you want a chance to win one of these amazing paper trimmers, head to the description box below. Thanks for hanging out with me for this. Again, don't forget to put in the comments what your favorite paper trimmer is, why you love it, and where we can get it. I love all the sharing that goes on in these videos. I hope this was helpful if you're on the hunt for your own trimmer. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can join me on a more semi-permanent basis. Hit the like if you enjoyed this video. And if you want to join me on other platforms, you'll see that all in the description box below, as well as where to get all of these trimmers. I'll see you in the comments down below and in the next video. Bye-bye.